I think there are going to be some microphones up the front. If you did want to ask anything of either of us, actually, you can come and you can. Is that right? Oh, there we go. Yes, they're going to be up here. I won't have time for very many. Yeah, come on. Come on.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, Milo. Thanks for coming to DC again.
Thank you very much.
So a lot of people on the right are talking about the value of Western civilization and Western culture. But what's the value of culture, frankly, without race? And if Western civilization is mainly white, then why can't we say that white civilization is kind of the best civilization?
Very edgy question.
Ballsy.
It's the sort of thing that the Daily Stormer has been encouraging you to ask me, so I'm glad somebody finally has. Is that where you're from? It's wonderful. I guess this boils down to whether you believe there is a racial component to culture. Now, some people certainly do. It's a very contentious subject. We know now that there is a statistical sense in which race is real. We know this from a book by a former science correspondent in the New York Times. So we know that this idea from the left that race is a social construct, that it is something that is imposed on you, is ridiculous. I mean, we knew that already from skin color. But what some people are now, the theories that are coming out now as we have more computing power to map the genome, suggest that there may be some racial components to different behaviors. There might be reasons why people with different clusters of genes end up building societies that look a bit different. So you can take the view if you want to, if that's the way you choose, the prism through which you choose to view the world, that white culture is better. And I would certainly say, the way I choose to do it is Western culture is better, because it seems to me that countries have been very successful in the West with large amounts of immigration from all over the place. I mean, the UK, Britain has been very successful, having had immigration from West Indian Africa, from Pakistan and India, maybe not Pakistan so much, but from India. And these people have come and they've essentially shared British values. I prefer to think of this question in terms of values. There have been huge influxes of immigration into the UK from people with very different skin colours, from completely different races, who have nonetheless shared British values. And when they come, when they have come to Britain, they have enormously enriched Britain culturally in all sorts of other ways. Seems to me the only exception to that is Islam. Seems to me the only exception to that is Pakistanis who came along with the Indians and afterwards, and seems to me the only exception is from that particular religious culture. There is a question about whether there is a large or a small racial component to culture. It's something that actually nobody really knows yet. We don't have any idea, and certainly there isn't very much research done on it because you can't get any funding for it. But that is a question that some people on the alt-right like to ask, and it's a question I think that at least deserves inquiry. As far as I'm prepared to go at the moment, is Western culture is indisputably the best, and we should focus on the values that bind us rather than the identity politics the left wants to divide us with.
You're here.
It's a very good question, thank you.
So Mr. Trump has gotten a lot of flack for refusing to say if he would accept the outcome of the election.
Yes.
But given
If
how
I win, what a boss.
given how this election has been so far, what do you think we can expect from the liberal side of politics if he does win?
If he does win, oh, wouldn't it be wonderful? Wouldn't it be wonderful? I did agree with Brexit. I did want the UK to leave. I did think it was best that we got control of our borders. I did think it was best that, that we stem the tide of blah, blah, blah. But the real reason I wanted Britain to leave is for the front page of The Guardian the next day. I can't lie. The real reason is just because it would annoy all of the right people, all of the worst people on the planet. I judge a man by his enemies, which is why I sometimes, hang out with the people you're not supposed to hang out with. Because the people that the worst, the social justice warriors, the feminists, the progressives, the Black Lives Matter, the New York Times, the CNNs of this world, the people they hate the most are invariably the most interesting and fun people, and often the smartest. And so I judge people by their enemies, and I wanted that to happen. I certainly judge Daddy by his enemies. He has all the best enemies in the world. All of the same people hate both of us, which I take as a gigantic compliment. And if he does win, it's just it's going to be the ultimate triggering. It's going to be wonderful. All of America will turn into this free, safe, this safe space free zone. You know, can you imagine just being able to go around and just say, do, and be what you want? Because you're not going to have some awful Department of Education imposing Title IX restrictions, you know, classing things as sexist that aren't. Imagine what it's going to be like with the shitlord in chief in the White House. You can say and do anything. It'd be wonderful. And all of the massed ranks of the establishment will scream blue murder, will say how it's an end to America as we know it, that you've put a monster, a clown, and all the rest of it in the White House. Well, just like they did with Brexit. But guess what? Pound took a bit of a hit after Brexit, but it's recovering now. Nothing bad happened. Nothing bad happened. And now the British government is engaged in the business of working out how exactly it extracts itself, and everything looks like it's going to be fine. That's what's going to happen with the Trump presidency. You will hear from everyone you've ever been brought up to respect that this is the end of America as you know it. Actually, it will be the return of America to what it used to be and what it could be again. America will have been made great again. I really do believe that. I do believe that, and only because, look, I'm here, as I often like to say, as a warning from Europe. I have seen what happens when you give up on free speech. I've seen what happens when you open your borders. I've seen what happens when you pander to and when you allow in globalism and the excesses of globalist elites. It ends badly. It always does. Canada is about to experience that. And you'll be able to see from a safe distance just what a catastrophe Trudeau is going to be. I think that for the Supreme Court, for free speech and the First and Second Amendment alone, and let's face it, what the fuck else do people vote for in a presidential election? Donald Trump is the clear and obvious choice. And I think he is a much, much safer pair of hands for all four of those things than Hillary Clinton would be. But everybody will tell you otherwise. Thank you.
Hey Milo, so you briefly mentioned the James O'Keefe videos, and I was wondering how much of an effect do you think that they'll have? I mean, given that his most recent one, last time I checked, was the #1 trending video on YouTube.
Amazing they allowed it. I don't know. They ought to make a huge effect. I mean, there are people who think that some of the revelations in his videos are as big as Watergate. But we know perfectly well that they're not going to get reported on like Watergate. So I think the challenge for new upstart dissident media like Breitbart is to spread it as far and wide as you can. The challenge for ordinary voters is to try where possible to circumvent or to beat by sheer weight of numbers and brute force the gerrymandering of social media companies who want to put weird things in the trending topics on Facebook that don't belong there. I was very happy, by the way, that as a result of Alan and my reporting, we got the entire trending news team at Breitbart fired after we got some tip-offs and information from our friends elsewhere in conservative media. And from Twitter, of course, which is obscene on this stuff. But the sheer weight of numbers is something you can't really beat, and I think that one of the things that Trump has done very successfully and very impressively is create that sort of movement, the weight of numbers that you just sort of can't really hide. And Twitter can, see a trending topic that's unflattering to Hillary and nuke it, but it almost always seems to become a bigger story that they nuked it than the original thing would ever have been in the first place. So keep talking, keep tweeting, keep Facebooking, keep telling everybody you know, keep speaking, and keep sending tips to your favorite journalists, because sooner or later this stuff has to reach ordinary voters. And I suppose the best thing that could happen at the moment is as many people who are going to grudgingly give their vote to Hillary as possible should be dissuaded from leaving the house. Yeah.
Hey, first I want to really thank you for what you do. It's having a huge effect, as I'm sure you know. But my question relates to the resurgence of socialism in the West. We'd been laughing about Nazis earlier, but so everybody understands.
Well, they are funny.
Yeah, they are. They're hilarious.
It's only the left that says we can't laugh
Yeah.
about it. I mean, the right too, to be honest. I mean, they are funny.
The leather and the dancing, it can't go wrong. But,
Of course. Fabulous.
But
Fabulous.
it
No, my
stands-
goodness. Is there anything hotter than gay Nazis? I mean, oh my goodness. It's so naughty, it's so seductive, it's so forbidden, and the outfit's fantastic. Wonderful. I mean, why can't you
Maybe
say
it
it? Sorry, go on.
wrong question. But as far as socialism is concerned, I mention that because Nazi stands for National Socialist.
Yes.
So when people are saying that, Trump is like a Nazi or whatever, that is the furthest thing from the truth.
Yes.
But the question relates to the history of violence that comes from leftist groups, specifically the KKK as a violent thug wing of the Democratic Party. Dinesh
Yes.
D'Souza talks about this quite a bit.
Yes.
Stefan Molyneux gets into it quite
Very
as
good.
well. Yeah, right?
Yes.
Yeah, let's hear. Yeah, he's awesome. You should do an interview with him. That'd be awesome.
I know they keep inviting me, and
Please.
I keep postponing it because I'm a terrible person. But
For
I
God's
am,
sake, man.
I am going to do it. I promise. What?
But the question is like when you see socialism returning to the West, first from you have this long history of violence in the KKK and the Democratic Party, the brown shirts under the National Socialists. You had the red what was it, the Red Guard, I guess, under in Russia.
Yes.
And now we have Black Lives Matter as kind of like the stormtroopers of the modern left. So I just want to hear what your thoughts are on that.
Well, I think we know where the violence comes from. We've always known where the violence comes from. They don't, the violence at Trump rallies, we now know, thanks to James O'Keefe, that it's not just started by the left, but directed by Hillary.
Yeah.
She's the one sending out the ducks. She was. You don't believe me? There's somebody over here scoffing. No, she was. There's a very sort of creepy way they all say Hillary Clinton. All the videos, they've all been trained to refer to her as Hillary Clinton, the next president of the United States. It's like sort of it's another way in which the progressive left sort of mirrors radical Islam. Sort of the peace be upon him thing. You can't say I must be banned at the DNC. You can't say Hillary Clinton without adding the next president of the United States. Just sort of willing themselves into it, desperately hoping that it's true. Well, we know where the violence comes from. We've always known that. Violence comes from the left. Well, it's fairly obvious why that might be the case, because, they want to change the system. They want to smash things up, literally as well as figuratively. And they developed a number of strategies to legitimize this. For instance, muddying the waters between speech and action. So when I come onto college campuses, they claim that I represent a threat to student safety. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. These silly security fees. University of Maryland tomorrow, by the way. We're supposed to speak to them tomorrow. Well, I've put them on notice. I'm coming for them. I'm going to get them. We are writing so many stories about them. Their Google results will be nuked for decades. We are going to send my talk. It will happen. It will happen. And I know they're watching. It will happen. I will be speaking at the University of Maryland before the end of this tour, come hell or high water, whether they like it or not. It will happen. It will happen. If I have to park my arresting but tastefully designed bus outside the Chancellor's office and stand on the fucking top of it with a mobile PA system and say, "You people hate free speech and you're cunts," I will do it. I will do it. Because they are going against the wishes of their own students. They're going against and of course, violating the First Amendment. They're a public university. They cannot violate the First Amendment. They cannot, and the Supreme Court has ruled on this, they cannot set unfair security fees for arbitrary political reasons, which is of course what they've done. So they will fold and they'll be humiliated, and when we have won and I've given my talk, I'm still going to grind their faces into the dust as a deterrent, as a warning to other universities of what happens when you try to clamp down on free speech. Because it's the only way these people will learn. It's the only way these fuckers will listen. We are going to win, and we are going to humiliate them ritually, publicly, for months. I'm going to put every administrator's name and picture and phone number and email address up at the end of every talk I ever give. Just to remind you, remember the University of Maryland? I know you're bored by this, but here we go. I'm going to send copies of our reporting and my speeches to every one of their alumni networks. I'm going to do everything possible to get as many donations to that university withheld as I possibly can, to ritually humiliate them in the court of public opinion for acting illegally and violating the wishes of their own students. Fuck them. Sorry to tell you, I wandered off the topic of the question slightly. Sorry about that.
All right. So thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you.
So my question is about something that you said on the Rubin Report. You were on the topic of Christianity, and you said,
Oh, no.
I wouldn't go, it's not about religion. I wouldn't go as far to say that Christians are an oppressed class in this country, because I don't think there are many oppressed classes in this country. Maybe black people still. That's probably the only one. So are black people oppressed? And if they are, what specific actions do you think that we could take to solve that? And P.S., I like your outfit.
Thank you. Me too. Which is just as well. I get in trouble with conservatives for this. I particularly get in trouble with the alt-right for this. They don't like it when I say this very much. But it's my view, as I alluded to earlier, that there are some problems remaining to be fixed in black communities, certainly in black majority cities in this country. And it is mainly a result of Democrat incompetence or maliciousness, whichever sociopathic, sadistic behavior, whichever way you choose to slice it. But I think there are still some problems. And they don't get a fair crack of the whip, to excuse the expression. It tumbled out of my mouth, I didn't mean it. Sometimes these things just come out. I do think that black communities deserve a bit of special attention. I think they have been very badly treated by both Democrats and Republicans. And I think the best thing that you could do is embark on a massive school building program in every inner city black neighborhood so that the smartest black kids can get to Harvard. This is something the Democrats don't want to do, because they don't want black people to have agency and aspiration. They don't want black people to be able to rise, to lift themselves out of poverty. They want them to be dependent. They want them to indulge in victimhood and grievance. They want to smash up their own towns and vote in more Democrat mayors. They want to replace dads with the state. They're making everybody dependent on the largesse and wishes of the government, so they vote Democrat. That is evil. That's evil. That's sociopathic. It's monstrous. Awful behavior. And I'm not saying that Republicans have been dramatically better on this, but certainly when Giuliani was in and he was policing properly, thousands of black lives were saved. And I would quite like to see black neighborhoods policed properly to bring those kids home to their mothers with a spank on the bottom and a warning. I'd quite like to see an end to the war on drugs. And I'd quite like to see a massive school building program so that everybody has the chance to go to a good university if they're smart enough. Of course, on their own merits, and not as a result of gerrymandering of SAT scores and preferential treatment with racial quotas, but as a result of their own ability and their hard work, aspiration, and accomplishment.
Milo, first I'd like to say that thank you for designing this shirt that I got on your website.
Thank you. It's a good
And
shirt.
before I ask my question, I'd like to preface it by saying that I believe Ronald Reagan said that when we disagree with people, most of the time they're 80% our friend and not 20% our enemy. So I'd like to, having said that, I'd like to ask, as someone who is a conservative, who believes that conservative principles are important and that we should rah-rah ideas and not people,
Yes.
for me, someone personally who cannot vote for Trump, and I apologize for those, you can call me a cuck-servative all you want.
No, it's okay. We're not going to call you names.
My problem-
You cuck.
Hold on.
We're merely going to remind you that you are going to lose your free speech. You're going to have your guns taken away. The Supreme Court is going to entrench abortion law and
Off my cold, dead hands.
ruin this country. Well, you see, people like this said they could control it last time. How'd that work out with Obamacare, mate? I mean, this is actually, I'm going to be nice. To ask you a question.
Thank you. So I guess my question is as someone who considers himself a conservative, and for the record, I'm voting for Evan McMullen.
Yes, dear.
It's okay, I vote in the state of Maryland. My vote is irrelevant anyways. How can I, as a young person, help out the conservative cause after Donald Trump? Unfortunately, and I like to say this as blunt as possible, I firmly believe he's going to lose by 12 or more. How can we, as young people, work to develop the conservative movement so that in 4 years, when we put basically Dorothy with a bucket of water up to beat Hillary, how can we educate more young people who are going to be coming up in the next cycle? And then follow-up question is, what happened with the debate with Ben Shapiro? And is there any chance? Is there any chance we can reschedule?
I've answered this every day for weeks.
Were you
Right.
afraid of getting thug-lifed?
No.
Okay.
Oh, do you know, I was very flattered when those Thug Life videos came out of me, and sort of to be praised in that way felt correct. And then I saw the ones he obviously had made for himself, and he's like a meme killer, isn't he? He's like a meme assassin. You know, when he mentioned Harambe, you knew it was over. I'll answer the second one first because it's the easiest one. Ben Shapiro's job in the media now is to rag on his former employers and tell fibs about me. He literally has no other function in America. He's not able to really to say anything. You know, he's one of those people that's just sort of been internally turned into mush by the candidacy of Donald Trump. Like Glenn Beck. Poor. R.I.P. R.I.P. Whatever semblance of sentient life used to exist in that body has floated away into the ether. All that is left is a fucking madman, but not in the good way. Insane. If you want to know, I'll give you the answer again. I'm a lot busier than Ben is, and I didn't reply to an email for I think 9 days, and he took the opportunity to say, "Aha! See, he's backed out. He's a coward." People charging the stage, snatching mics and taking swings for me don't scare me. University officials who are trying to bankrupt my tour by imposing 10 grand security fees don't scare me. Feminists sending dead animals through my letterbox don't scare me. Ben Shapiro doesn't scare me. I would perfectly happy to do a debate with him any day of the week, but he has now taken the position that I'm whatever. Give me a fucking break. Also, of course, I prefer to debate people of a similar stature, and I've taken his audience and his careers over. Shame. On your first question, which I've now forgotten, and I'm going to talk for a little while I remember. Oh yes, what can young people do? Well, I'm going to give you some tough love. You could have done it this election, you chose not to. You could have picked a winner. You could have chosen somebody, you might not have liked him personally, but you could have chosen somebody who was going to uphold the First and Second Amendments and appoint good people to the Supreme Court, which he obviously was. He obviously took a lot of advice on that list. I can't think of a single prominent Republican who had a bad thing to say about his Supreme Court nominee list. You could have voted for him, but instead you are contributing to Hillary Clinton joining the White House. I don't think you have any right to call yourself a conservative. I don't much care to give you advice after this election. I hope you never vote again. Just because I'm up here doesn't mean I have to be nice. Hi.
Hello, Dr. Milo.
Hello.
Okay, I love you. I love your voice. I love your style. I love your hair.
Thank you. I only
All right.
require 2 compliments before
Oh,
each
that's
question.
That's true.
But I will.
I have a
will
little bonus.
Take,
I have a
I'll
little
take
bonus
the
at the
4. I'll take the 4.
All right. Who is your favorite philosopher and why? And it better be a dead white male.
Well, of course. Of course there's a dead white male. I'm thinking of doing a talk, by the way. I want to sort of invert the usual the usual stuff that goes on campus, you know, these no whites kind of diversity initiatives. And just ask anyone who is not a straight white male to stand up and leave and have like a straight white male only space for one of my talks. I'm going to perhaps do it somewhere like Columbia where they'll really take it well. By the way, if you're watching and you're looking watching on the stream, or indeed if you're thinking of coming to Columbia, I'm going to be going in a Columbia graduation gown with a mattress. I'm going to come on stage. I'm going to my outfit. My outfit is a mattress and a fake rape claim to talk about the damage that's done to young straight white males' lives by bogus allegations and by universities that pander to them. What was your question?
Who's your favorite philosopher?
Oh, yes, favorite philosopher. Everybody wants me to say Nietzsche, which is almost true.
My friend
I
does.
think it would be Schopenhauer. And if you want to know why, you should look up an essay called On Women.
So close enough to Nietzsche. Okay.
All right. No, it's there. I'm more of a pessimist. All right, thank you.
My friend would like a kiss, by the way.
Oh, no, I don't want to start a precedent. It depends. Is he hot? Come and see me afterwards. No, they started this last night, and I don't want to start. I'm going to end up with herpes, and I won't even have got a blowjob out of it. No, I'm not going to. Afterwards, we'll talk about it. Yeah.
Hi, Milo. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
Is it true what people have been saying and what you've been saying, or are you just joking about buying 4chan?
I never joke.
And
I never joke
also,
about things
how
that
do you think
serious.
we should address the transgender issue in America?
Well, I gave a talk about this last night, which as an assiduous and ferocious Milo fan, you'll of course already seen on YouTube. I think that it's disgusting that the progressive left has elevated a medical condition to some kind of aspirational lifestyle status, putting Laverne Cox and Bruce on the cover of magazines. Well, when you do that, you're not just saying, look at this person, you're saying, be like this person. Would we do that with schizophrenics? Would we do that with anybody with any other kind of disorder? Do we do that with the people who wake up and think their arms don't belong to them? We don't cut their arms off to make reality conform to those delusions. We try to help those people with therapy and drugs. Because the LGBT, whatever, terrible queers. I do hate my own people. I do hate my own people. Because they ran out of things to moan about, they happened upon something that they could reframe as a sort of gender identity. Really just as a way of getting at you guys. It's sort of the left getting together and saying, what's the most ridiculous thing that we can make people say they believe or will ruin their careers? Come on, guys, what's the most ridiculous thing? And somebody in the room says, I know, what about like blokes? What about like dudes who think they're girls? It's a medical condition. It is deserving of compassion. It's deserving of therapy and drugs and treatment. It is not deserving of elevation into something to be admired or to be imitated. The message seems to be from the media that men are not only better at everything than women, but we even make better women than women do. Because now Caitlyn Jenner has won Woman of the Year from Glamour magazine. What do we need girls for? This gives you some indication of how crazy this thing is. It's a shame. It's a shame, really, because there's really no evidence that the lopping their cocks off is doing them any favors at all. The suicide rates don't improve. The depression rates don't improve. Seems to me we should take a step back and rethink it. As to your first question about 4chan, I never joke about serious things like that. I may miss the boat on this because as a British citizen, I'm subject to a lot scarier legal prescriptions than American citizens, and me buying something like that might expose me to more litigation than I would be able to afford, even me. So we're looking.
So you're not discouraged by the fact that you've kind of fallen out of favor with Poll?
No, of course, I don't mind. You think No, I make friends with people who don't agree with me all the time. Are you kidding? Some of my best friends fucking hate me. No, they don't like me at all. I don't care. What I do care about is preserving that fragile subculture, that ecosystem that gives so much to the rest of the internet and ultimately so much to the rest of us. I don't care if they hate me or not. What I want is for them to have a space where they can do what the fuck they want, uninterrupted, uncensored, and have an open, free platform to say the most awful things they want to. And if those awful things are about me, fine. What do I care? It's such an important cultural artifact. 4chan is such an important cultural artifact, such a critical bit of the internet's cultural infrastructure. It would be catastrophic to lose it for all of us in ways that most people don't even realize. So no, I preserve that at all costs, even and perhaps even especially if they don't like me. Hey.
Hi, Milo. I'm so happy to be here. I wrote down my words.
Of course.
So I've been married for 28 years. My husband has had very few reasons to be jealous. And imagine, he's jealous of my love and support of a 30-something dangerous faggot.
Watch it, 27. You started so well.
Milo, not kidding.
Well. You think women are sensitive about their ages? Try being a puff.
So, Milo, not kidding. Really, I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you.
So this is it. If God help us, she wins. I'm seriously convinced that they're going to go after free speech across the board more than they already have.
Of course.
And I was wondering what we're going to be able to do to keep in touch with you.
After I'm banned from everything.
And to be able to have some communication with the good sources. And whether you are going to comment or Alam Bukhari.
I'm going to... Go on.
No, just that, Milo.
I'm going to have to set up a cult in Montana somewhere. You can come and you can sacrifice your firstborn black males to And I will, in exchange, reward you with hate facts and,
No,
and
but
terrible
it's
jokes
but
about
serious
trannies.
though. But serious though, I really mean
I'm not
it. I mean,
joking.
yeah, no, I wake up every morning and I look to my phone to see what they've taken away from us today. You know, what happened last night that they took away yet another communication tool that we can use to somehow get access to the truth.
Well, you're absolutely right about that, and the sad thing is I don't have any very good answers for you. There are alternatives to Twitter popping up. I've noticed Gab looks quite interesting. It hasn't yet kind of reached a critical mass of users where it becomes a real threat. Oh, by the way, did you see yesterday, I think it was, Twitter laying off another 300 people? How sad. Sad. Isn't it terrible? My hope is, and I think that the history of social networking proves me right, and Alan can yell at me if I'm wandering off-piste, but I think I'm right in saying the history of social networking is basically the history of overlapping networks. They basically die when they start clamping down on free speech. Reddit became, a disaster when it started clamping down on free speech. It's now just full of virtue signalers, concern trolls, and autists. Only one of those groups I have some sympathy with. And Twitter, I think, is going to be replaced. It's got to be replaced, and I think it will be replaced by a free speech alternative that might not stay free forever, but it's up to all of us to stay on our toes and hopscotch, and these things die. MySpace came and went. Reddit came and went. Dig came and went. Twitter is on the way out. Facebook is currently at the zenith of its influence, but it too will probably not be around forever. None of them ever have survived indefinitely. And all these platforms were pretty cool, pretty free places at the beginning because that's how they need to get users in the early days. So I think, maybe one day a social network will emerge that really stays true to free speech forever, which is also navigable and palatable to the masses in a way that 4chan and 8chan aren't. In the meantime, all we've got to do is keep playing hopscotch. And it's just a question of educating yourself and staying agile and following people that you like as they move from platform to platform.
Yep.
And if they really want me to stop talking entirely, then I'll just post selfies on Instagram for the rest of my life. I mean, I'll probably keep 70% of the people who like me just doing that. Okay, listen, thank you so much for coming. You've been a very high energy audience. It's been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for coming. Cheers.